Hi everybody, Matt Bernier here in the Daily Racing Forum studios, joined by DRF's national handicapper Mike Watchmaker. We're taking a look at this Saturday's Weekend Warrior, Saturday, May the 13th. It's sort of the middle ground, Mike, between the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness. Not the most stakes-laden sort of cards that we've seen cross-country, but nonetheless, we move on. Let's start off Santa Anita, race number 5. It is the Barrera for 3-year-olds, 7/8 of a mile on the main track. It's a short field. You've only got 6 in here. You're going to go to Kim Bear.
I am. Usually I don't like to use 6-horse fields in weekend warrior races, but like you said, Matt, it was kind of slim pickings this weekend. And this isn't your average 6-horse field. I mean, you can get an 11-horse field where, the first two favorites look like they dominate. And then you can get a 6-horse field where there's a lot of things going on. And I think that's the case in this race. And I like Kim Bear. I think he's an alternative to the two other favorites in this race. I've thought for a while now that Kim Bear has proven to be a much, much better horse on dirt. He's had 7 career starts, 4 of them are on turf, but his 3 dirt races are just simply much better than his turf races are. I mean, his first dirt race was the second late last year in a straight maiden race to Iliad, who came back to Rapa de San Vicente with a 96 buyer, then finished second to the brilliant but unlucky Mastery in the San Felipe, and was only beaten 2 lengths as the 3-1 favorite in the Santa Anita Derby. And then 2 starts back, Kim Bear made his second career start on dirt. He won laughing in that race. He crushed Sonneteer, who came back to finish second in the Rebel in his next start and was beaten only 2 lengths in the win fourth of the subsequent Arkansas Derby. And then last time out, Kim Bear ran in the Santa Anita Derby, and he kind of bobbled a tiny bit at the start. It really didn't cost him anything, but he steadied early on the first turn, and that put him much farther back than he probably would have been and probably would have been more comfortable being. But as it was, he still made, I thought, a pretty nice run late on the far turn into upper stretch, and then he kind of flattened out. And horses who do that, I think, are, when they cut back to extended one-turn races like the Barrera, which is a 7-furlong race, I think that kind of cutback is right in their wheelhouse. And I understand that American Anthem can win this race. I understand that Aristocratic can win this race. But I just think Kim Bear is a very nice horse on dirt. And I think he's cutting back to the kind of race that is going to enable him to show his best.
You mentioned American Anthem. He breaks from the rail for Baffert and Smith. This is a horse that also ran the Santa Anita Derby. He was part of the 3-ply pace duel, but he was the only piece of the pace that backed up in a bad way. Is this horse just way off form, or do you think the turn back helps him?
Well, it almost as if they're trying to start all over again with American Anthem. I mean, he showed a lot of potential early in his career. He won first time out, and then he fooled everyone when he was narrowly beaten second in the Sham Stakes. I mean, the Sham is what actually fooled everyone, because a lot of people thought, myself included, that it was a very strongly run race. And a lot of people thought, myself included, that American Anthem ran huge, given it was only his second career start and first try around 2 turns to be beaten just ahead by Gormley in that race. And of course, Gormley was a Grade 1 winner last year, and he won the slow Santa Anita Derby this year. So, American Anthem was kind of a horse to watch, and he came back and they ran him in the Rebel. He was absolutely awful, and he was awful again in the Santa Anita Derby. And it's like they're hitting the reset button with this horse. And perhaps the class drop and the turn back at distance will really help this horse. It might. But I think he's going to be overbet. I mean, he's a Baffert horse. He's got all these class lines, and he had a bit of a reputation early this year. I think he's going to be completely overbet relative to his actual chances of winning. And I have no reluctance taking a shot against him in the tote.
3 horses exit the San Pedro. The winner, Aristocratic, making his first start for Simon Callahan. The runner-up, Bobby Abu Dhabi, as well as a horse that was well beaten, Taxman's Quest. You also have a maiden winner most recently in Sutton Impact coming in here for Peter Miller. This is an interesting spot here. Anybody else in this race do anything for you?
Well, I mean, Aristocratic, I think, is going to be second choice in the betting to American Anthem, and I think Kim Bear will probably be, third choice. And I really have no bones to pick with Aristocratic. The San Pedro was by far the best race he's ever run, and he disputed a pace that was, compared to the other races run that day, a pace that was quite quick. And the horse that he disputed the pace with Taxman's Quest, who happens to be in this race, was the second choice of the betting, and he backed off to finish a distant fifth and last. So I think it underscores the quality of Aristocratic's decisive victory in that race. But he is stretching out another furlong this time, and he is meeting a couple of horses that are tougher than the horses he beat in that spot. And he's another horse that I think, relative to his actual chances of victory, is probably going to be overbet.
Race 5 at Santa Anita Park Saturday afternoon, 7/8 of a mile for the 3-year-olds on the main track. It's the Grade 3 last Barrera. Mike can go with the 2 Kimbear for Eric Kruljack and Joe Talamo. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to go to Arlington Park. We're going to take a look at the 1-turn Grade 3 Hanshin Cup.